As you know, Michigan has an extension of the Real ID enforcement, allowing federal agencies to accept driver's licenses and identification cards from Michigan, but it runs through October 10th of this year in 2017. What is the current status of Real ID implementation across the nation?
As I know the Senator knows, the Real ID law was passed by the Congress in 2005, and it's the real first big deadline is this January coming, I think it's 22nd, to where you will have to have a appropriate Real ID, approved Real ID, or if you don't have that, something like a passport in order to fly domestically, internationally. The map, and I addressed most of the governors of all of the states, 48, I think, of the states about 3 weeks ago. And for those that are not compliant, and there's right now, I think, 5 that for sure aren't even really trying, and that's their call. I mean, I'm not criticizing them, but they're not really trying for issues inside the state. And then there's another 18 or 19 states that are going in the direction, but again, are unsure if they could be compliant. So when I talk to the governors, and I would say the same thing here, I think the governors have to kind of have a real serious conversation with their citizens, with their staffs first, and decide whether they can hit the mark in January. And if they can't, to have a conversation with their citizens about, you really need to consider getting a passport, as an example. Passports for 10 years, $110, I think, to get a passport, very easy to get. Because in January, if they don't have some compliant ID, they're not going to be able to get on an airplane, domestically or otherwise. This scared me to death, actually, because I thought, I just thought that the people I was talking to in Washington, which is really a red state right now, probably not going to get there. And by the way, several governors have asked me to send out some people from my staff to take a look at where they are, to do an appraisal of if they're going to make it, so then they can talk to the people. And I've made that available to all the states. But the point is, when I was talking to these businessmen and women in Seattle, who were in very, very well-informed people, they were all under the impression that their state-enhanced driver's license was Real ID compatible, which it's not. So if people like that were unaware of the ID situation, I'd say the vast majority of the good citizens of Washington State. So the point is, where it is right now, if you're not fully compliant on the 22nd of January coming, then you will have to have a form of ID, like a military ID or a passport card, in order to get on an airplane. That's where it is right now.
Under